This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
It's time for one last hurrah of the season. And what's one of the most popular and iconic tracks among the SRF community? Watkins Glen, of course. Known for enduring draft battles, high speeds, and a surprisingly challenging layout, it should give us a great way to close things out with a bang. Let's see what they've got in store as we get ready to watch round 12 of the Weekend Warriors, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. It's the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ryan Walker. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. It's easy to wax on about Watkins Glen from up here, but really you don't get an idea of the speed of this track until you get up close. So why don't we hop on over to our track guide and get a better perspective. Welcome to Watkins Glen International. Situated in upstate New York, just south of the Finger Lakes, this track has seen it all. Few road circuits can boast hosting Formula One, IndyCar, NASCAR, and IMSA during its history. Though it did have a brief fallow period in the early 80s, thanks to the investment of local companies, it's grown into one of the premier road tracks in the U.S. With 4 layouts to choose from that range between 2.5 and 3.5 miles in length, lap times can vary greatly. But it also means it's suitable for lots of different levels of racing, from amateur to pro. The one thing that stays consistent no matter which car and which layout you're using is that Watkins Glen means speed. Many of the straights are very long, and the majority of the corners are fast sweepers. Some of them include a surprising amount of banking as well. Combine that with the proximity of the barriers, and this historic circuit retains a very old-school feel. Drivers in lesser-powered cars can expect drafting battles, while higher-powered machinery will test the skill and bravery of their pilots. Some of the turns are visually iconic, such as the carousel and the S's. Others, like the inner loop, the chute, and turn 9, greatly challenge even the expertly skilled. And of course, we haven't even mentioned the drastic amount of elevation change drivers experience. Between its rich history and popularity among drivers, this track stays busy and seems likely to be that way for a long, long time. Should provide some great stuff for us today here at Watkins Glen. And also, as always, this race is brought to you by SimStickers. Whether it's button boxes, steering wheels, or keyboards, they have you covered. And now, if you use the promo code GSRC10 when purchasing, you get 10% off of all orders for the whole season. You can find out more at simstickers.co.uk. No idea how long that's going to be going on past this being the end of the season, so definitely go on over and take advantage of that promo code now while you can. Let's take a look at the championship, though. And, of course, up at the top, it has been won a couple weeks ago by David Gaspers with another dominant season. Daniel Sadro's even a full more than 100 points behind at this point, as Antonio Reese, with him sitting in third, is probably not going to be able to catch him. Actually, he isn't really going to be able to catch him. There's a few bonus points, but I don't think there's enough that he can overtake Sadro for second place. If anything, you see between himself, Jerry McAreeve, and Emil Orza, you could still get some things swapping around, but they're generally safe unless they have something drastically go wrong today, which, with the way this track is not out of the question. Ryan, why don't we go over the Spec 2 race, which I understand is still a little bit more on?
Yeah, so in the Spec 2 Championship, it's all to play for. At the top between Larry McLeod and PJ Gowdy. McLeod has been leading for most of the season, but Gowdy's been consistent and he's getting good results. He's in second place, 47 points further back, but Dominic Bureau he's still in with a slight chance of the championship in the Spec 2 class, but it will take a miracle for that to happen. But fourth place is Greg Stefani, and rounded out the top five is Yuri Cox, who are, yeah, technically or mathematically out of the battle for the championship.
Now, let's take a look at the race details as well. As we have mentioned, we are in the finale. And even though these cars are open setup, there's not a whole lot you can do to them. And they've also limited the fuel cells compared to what the real ones have. So you can expect in this 40-minute race to see one stop for fuel from all the drivers. That will be a big talking point at a track like this. They ration the points, 100 for a win, and then 25 for last place, no matter how many show. So even though we've got a decently sized field today, it'll still be spread evenly from first to last. Of course, they have penalty points for if you get too many incidents. Each 10 incidents, you get 3 penalty points. So drivers who do win might wind up with less than 100. And that is always a problem if you're in a tight fight, which we didn't have this season. They also have a faster pair, which will probably come into use for a few drivers because wrecks with higher speeds tend to be bigger ones around here. We're glad you're watching, and you're once again watching on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure and subscribe to the channel. It's very easy to do so. If you go below the video on YouTube, there's a big red button that says subscribe. Click that. You won't miss a moment here on IESN. And the qualifying, David Gaspers, who came in late in practice, has found that it's not hurting him too badly because he's currently at the top on the provisional poll, ahead of an unusual mix of names here, Ryan. We were talking about this. The draft has really mixed things up. Shuk, Ian Haycox, Chris Murakami, this is not who you usually see in the top 5.
Yeah, we're normally used to seeing people like Nico Shook and Ian Haycox and people like even Chris Murakami in the midfield. But Nico Shook at the moment having a great qualifying and currently on pole position at the moment as well in the Spec 2 class. So a good qualifying from him. But there's some big names further back in the pack that were, yeah, I'm kind of shocked about it. Jerry McAreevy, we've got also, yeah, Mauricio Dacelli back in further in the pack as well. So okay, quite a few shocks in qualifying before this race has even started.
We've switched over to Shuk, who's coming up through the S's at the moment. We quickly mentioned the fuel stop here, and while the draft races create a lot of exciting action on the track, Ryan, I think we have to remember that it also opens things up strategically among the drivers.
Absolutely. I mean, some of these drivers, if they're further back in the pack, like the midfield, for example, they could use a draft and also do some lifting and coasting to save some fuel before they do the pit stops. And with the lifting and coasting as well, you don't have to take as much fuel at the pit stop, which in turn saves time. So there could be some different strategies being used. Maybe some people will pit early. Maybe some people try and go as long as possible. So this track, like we've seen in the runoffs last season, it could provide some different or interesting strategies.
Juracek, one of those ones that usually is higher up. And as we watch him down here in, let's see, it looks like 13th I'm seeing. Yeah, 13th position. Has got a little bit of a tow right now with Stevie Ray in front of him, but he's also giving one to Emil Orza just behind. You can see in his mirror there. Let's see if he can go any quicker, because he certainly needs it if he wants to have a good starting position. Starting position isn't as crucial because of the draft, but, well, you don't want to be stuck in the mid-pack. Coming around the penultimate corner now, the number 84. Let's see as he rounds that final turn, almost street course-like with the tires right at the exit. A little bit of curb to the inside, unsettling him, but he holds it well. He's got a 209.031. Let's see what this is. A 219.4. So he was actually on an outlap, I guess, that time through. Not going to be a quick one quite yet for Miroslav Juracek. They've got 6 minutes left, but it is a long lap around here.
Yeah, but Stevie Ray goes up to second place in qualifying with a fantastic lap. That's a great lap from Stevie up into second. And yeah, I think it's unfortunately Stevie had to miss the last race at Mosport, but he's back for the final round this evening, which is great to see. And at the moment, he's been rewarded with a second place in qualifying.
Here's what's interesting. I'm seeing a lot of drivers try to use this draft in the qualifying. I've seen multiple pilots basically slow up out on the track, waiting for someone to come by so that they can get a tow. So there's definitely some trickery happening out here just to see if you can get that extra couple tenths.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a long track with lots of straights, and it gives the perfect opportunity for, excuse me, some of these guys to uh, use the slipstream and try and improve the lap time. But with this say that this later Watkins Glen they're using, especially the long straight after the S's, that I don't think qualifying is going to matter that much, and because of just the draft effect.
Jerry McAreevy managed to move up a few, but is still way down compared to what his speed typically shows. The 67 sits 15th. This is Zach LeVay. He's actually 16th, so right behind him. Didn't get a quicker lap that time by. He's towing along Adam Bradshaw. Now we're up to Fred Desai, sitting in 13th. He's giving some help to Maurizio Naselli. Not that Maurizio usually needs it. He doesn't go quicker this lap. He's still down in 5th place. One of the few drivers that tends to be able to challenge guys like David Gaspers, who still holds that provisional pole.
Yeah, Maurizio has been, since he joined the series, he's been one of the quick guys that's been able, like you mentioned, Joe, he's been able to give David Gaspers a run for his money and challenge him for victories. I'm just looking further throughout the field as well. The surprise of qualifying for me yet again this season, or this session so far, has to be Ian Helcock's up there in P4 as well, and also, Jerome Haslam in 10th position.
Ooh, I see a big train of cars coming up towards the heel of the boot. This includes Vandenberg, Gaspers, Schlacher, Elson, also Gradwell at the tail of it. Question is, have any of them pulled enough of a slipstream to really gain them? Oh, and Gaspers isn't going to get a quick lap as he goes wide coming out of the boot section. Has to actually stay out of a few drivers' way. So maybe Elson and Schlacher could find themselves moving up. Schlacher's all the way down in 25th. Elson's currently sitting 8th in the timing sheets. They come around this final corner. Who has gotten a good run? 3 minutes left to go, so about 2 more laps are possible. Pulling off to the side, that's Vandenberg. And looks like quickest lap for Schlacher. That's going to bump him up to 16th. That one didn't count for Elson. Must have had an off track somewhere. So we hop back to Zach LeVay once again with Bradshaw back there. Bradshaw with his quickest. That's going to move him up into 15th. Right now, our pole sitter on the Spec 2 class is Nico Schuk. He's in 3rd. It's a few positions back before you get to PJ Gowdy in 7th place. PJ's actually pulling a nice tow from Bob Kern right now, so I wonder if he might actually jump up. Let's see. Nope, that was not his quickest.
Yeah, Bob Kern, another person in qualifying, having a good one as well. I thought it was Jerome Haslam in P10, but it's Bob Kern at the moment having another good qualifying as well. And Bob took his best result of the season at the previous round at Mosport, finishing inside the top 10. So yeah, starting to improve slowly towards the end of the season.
Ooh, Donald Fitterer goes his quickest with a 2:08.9. That's 19th for him. So many drivers coming across the line. There's a lot out here, and they're coming in packs. It's hard for me to keep track of who is where. We're on for Colin right now. Gaspers is still running, and he's actually at the front of the group. He's leading Elson, Schlacher, and Gradwell still. This was the group we were watching last lap. This time it seems to be going a little bit better for the multi-time champion at the point. We see them come around the penultimate turn. I'm assuming that David managed to get himself a tow at some point in the lap. It's just he's not doing it here at the end. Instead, he's giving a little bit of help to the number 56 and the 08s. So down to the line with a little bit less than a minute left on the clock. Ooh, a 2:07.7. That's going to extend the gap to half a second. So Gasper's quicker. Steve Elson did not go faster. Schlacher also did not improve. And Tom Gradwell managed to get himself up into 23rd with his 2:09.1 that time by.
Yeah, that was an amazing lap by David Gaspers. He managed to get into the 2:07s, and even though that was with the draft, it's still an amazing lap by David. And as there's some issues coming up through the S's, a few cars having issues and one even rolling over.
Hopefully we won't see that in the race at the start. Naselli comes across the line. He doesn't improve. And Fred Desai also still out there trying. PJ Gowdy didn't get anything that time, so he stays second in the Spec 2 class. 7 seconds left. Who's going to be our first to take the checkered flag? It's going to be Ed Doherty. He'll be followed by Fitterer and then Murakami. So Doherty's down in 28th. Another one we're used to seeing a little bit higher than that. Across the line, a 209.5, and that won't move him any higher, unfortunately. Fitterer doesn't improve. Chris Murakami doesn't either. Looks like quickest lap for Kenneth Bately. That's going to jump him to 33rd. Who else is coming down to those checkers? Looks like Greg Stefani is going to be the next one in the 750. He's in 27th position. Stefani not going to take this lap, so he's going to abandon it. What about Stefan Schlacker here, Ryan?
Yeah, just keeping an eye on Stefan at the moment. He's coming around the final couple of corners, and just watching him at the moment, he seems to be a smooth lap at the moment. But it just seems, I'm not sure if he'll improve or not. Just coming through the final corner, and he's coming up to the line, and I don't think it's going to be an improvement.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
2 tenths quicker. 15th on the grid. Let's see, got a few more coming into pit lane. Dominique Bureau pulling off to the side, maybe giving a tow to Carty here. Carty doesn't go quicker, and Bureau doesn't either. Looks like Paul Jackson now down to the line. He sits in 30th, and a non-lap for him. Ooh, important moment for PJ Gowdy. Still second in the Spec 2 race. The 777 is not happy with his lap. He abandons it. So does Bob Kern. David Gaspers is coming around, but he's coming on into the pit lane. That means our qualifying is over for the day. Our grid is set with a relatively large field out here. Let's go through that starting order. David Gaspers on the pole will be followed by Stevie Ray in second. A phenomenal qualifying from the number 11 car. Pole sitter, though, for the Spec 2 class is all the way on the second row. The 287 sitting in third with Ian Haycox in fourth place. Maurizio Naselli starts P5, followed by Chris Murakami in sixth. Another one is higher than expect out of him. PJ Gowdy, second in Spec 2, starts from 7th today with Steven Nelson starting in P8. Larry McLeod, who will be 9th. The outside of that row has Emil Orza rounding out your top 10.
Started on 11th for his best qualifying of the season is Bob Kern. 12th is Jerome Haslam. 13th is Brett Desai. Antonio Ruiz will start in 14th. GSRC's very own Stefan Slacker will start in 15th. And alongside him in 16th is Adam Bradshaw. Zachary Levay will start in 17th. My fellow Scotsman Jerry McAreevy will start in 18th. 19th will be Donald Fitterer, and rounding out the 20 will be Miroslav Jurisic.
Tim Van Dormelen will be starting 21st, then Francesco Bernardo starts 22nd. Brian D. Short, P23 for him. Tom Bradwell, 24th, and Jonathan Mino in 25th. Dominique Bureau, 26, way down the order. Greg Stefani starts 27th today, and Ed Doherty 28th. And you got William Ferry in 29th and Paul Jackson 30th.
Starting in 31st is Jeff Cantor. Alongside him is Nick Carty in 32nd. Kenneth Bately will start in 33rd. Starting in 34th will be Dan Bivic. 35th will be Ramon Regalado. 36th will be Frank Rodasti. Hopefully I said that right. 37th will be Martin Van den Berg. 38th will be Giulio Fercolon. 39th will be Samuel Dick. And rounding out the grid in 40th, not setting the time, will be Sergio Giorelli.
Jeff Jacobs 43rd with Wobolt and Rhodes behind him. Also not taking time. I see Jacobs not in the session, so it doesn't look like he will take to the grid, which is lining up now behind the pace car. They will get that pace lap. to try and get themselves prepared for what could be a little bit of chaos out here. Hopefully we get everybody with a cool enough head that we can see most of them see the checkered flag. What's your over-under, Ryan? How many do you think will lose before the end? How many will finish today?
It's a difficult one with this layout, but yeah, I'll probably say retirements. I'm going to go for. I'll probably take a guess and say 10.
All right, that's actually not too bad, I'd say, out of a 40-car field. Hopefully only about a quarter of them leaving the race and everybody else managing to get to the end. They do have that spare car, so hopefully that'll help. And I think at this point we're just waiting on 2 or 3 cars to find their way to the grid. We should get that pace car going. We'll get a nice view of what this track is like as they head on out on this pace lap. The final round of the season. Feels good, honestly, Ryan, for them to choose this track to finish up on. This is one of those circuits that's used in the V runoffs, the Week 13 race they use for a number of seasons.
Absolutely, the V runoff race that they ran last season here at Watkins Glen, and that you guys broadcasted on GSRC. But yeah, it was great fun. It was a great race to watch, and like I mentioned before, there was some interesting strategies being used. Some people were going long, some people were maybe trying something different and trying to do an undercut. But yeah, the racing in general at Watkins Glen last season was absolutely fantastic. And I think if everyone cooperates and doesn't do anything silly in the early stages and they manage to survive, I think we could be in for more of the same here this evening.
And we're seeing them go through the S's section. You talked about how in qualifying we had a bit of a wreck in there at one point. It's easily flat out in these cars, but my big worry is these first maybe 2-3 laps here, Ryan, it's almost like a street course in there. If something does go wrong and 2 cars tangle, it could get bad quick.
From my experience in the official races I've done this week, I've done several races in the official series. It's kind of, if you get a run on someone through the S's before the exit, it's kind of, you've got to commit and go for the move. Otherwise, if you try and back off or slow up, people behind you are just going to take advantage of that and try and make a move on you. So, especially on that one straight after the S's, there could be some early moves being done in the early stages of this race.
Then we head into the boot section. This is the addition that was made to the circuit after it had been open and running Formula One for a while. I believe it was in the early 70s that they tacked this on and actually changed the original layout just slightly. They moved the start-finish line even. I think that's something that not all people are aware of, is that it used to be on the run between the 90 and the S's that they had the start-finish line, and they shifted it back to before that, so that the 90 is now the first corner. And they've come through the lowest part here at the toe of the boot. This always struck me as one of the more parts that sort of track here that drivers don't necessarily pay enough attention to. This run up the hill out of the toe of the boot, Ryan, this is not a powerful car, and I feel like if they don't get the gas down, that you could lose a lot right there.
Yeah, I've watched several drivers on the exit of that corner. If you don't get the line right and you get a slow exit, people behind you, if they get a good exit, they can get a run on you and make a pass into the next right-hander just before this corner that we're coming up to here. Yeah, there's several places that you can make a move on someone, but it's still about if someone sees you or not. It's a difficult place to make a pass, but it's going to be an interesting corner to watch during the race, that's for sure.
All right, one more to go, and then they are released for the finale here in the SRF Weekend Warriors. David Gaspers will have control, as he has many times, taken the pole here in this series. Pace car is in. He's waiting. Green flag is out, and it's time to go. Bit of a checkup on the high line, and in fact, the bottom line too is seeing them spread out almost 4 wide. Who is that coming down through in the of the bottom side? I think that's Stefan Schlacker. He's gained at least 7 spots there at the start, down into the first corner. He is already up to 5th, but it is Gaspers leading. What about the rest of the field? Can they get through there cleanly? I'm not seeing wrecks yet, and I think we're good.
Yeah, everyone managed to make it through turn 1 without any issues as far as I can see. I'm just watching Slacker at the moment from my view, and he's got a run on several cars in front of him. This is a great start from Stefan. making moves early, and he's had a good start so far, Joe. No issues to report.
Stevie Ray is going to get a nice run, and he's going to take the lead. Schlocker, though, is going to look for second place as they go 3 wide. Ian Haycox to the outside of David Gaspers as he gets swamped by the slipstream. Everybody trying to take advantage. Schlocker does manage to get himself into second place. Gaspers slots back into third. Haycox into P4. Then you've got Chris Murakami in fifth. There's still a lot of side-by-side racing. Everybody trying to take advantage of that tow.
Yeah, I think I've just watched the replay back of Stefan Slacker's start as well. That was an amazing start from Stefan. From where he started, he's managed to get up into P2 at the moment. So a great start from Stefan, and amazingly, no incidents on lap 1 at the moment to report.
A little bit of a battle back there. You can see that Shuk to the inside of the red, white, and blue with Miroslav Juracek trying to go on the attack. Can't quite get it done. Behind them, lots of side-by-side racing as well, including Larry McLeod in there. Now they come back out of the boots, getting ready to complete lap 1. Ray leads Schlocker, leads Gaspers, leads Haycox, leads Murakami. Nobody really interested in trying anything, despite them being very close. I think everybody knows the game here.
Yeah, I think everyone just wants to settle down on lap 1 and just get into a groove and settle into a rhythm. But at the moment, it's still Stevie Ray leading on lap 1 at the moment. Stevie Ray, the surprise. I think we've had issues.
Yeah, and that is Elson, and I think Shuk, it looks like, stopped in a horrible place. Everybody's having to dodge around him and trying to get to him. Yeah, that was Nico Shuk, who was turned and stopped smack dab in the middle of turn 1. Caused a few drivers to spin. One took a little bit of a clip on Elson, I think, but otherwise that could have been much worse. Oh, he got help. He got help, and I think that was Juracek. That was Elson getting into him there, getting spun around. I'm going to take one more look. I can report that Schlocker's back up to the front. He got pushed there by David Gaspers while we're watching this.
Yep, just watching the replay from Nico Shuk's on board, and yeah, he just got tagged by Miroslav, and also...
Schlocker's around, and he's taking a few with him, including Gaspers. I think Naselli and Murakami maybe got a small piece. They both get it going. They're going to be able to come back and get their spare car, but it's way too early for stops right now. Schlocker just got loose. And everybody who got involved in that, unfortunately, just found themselves at the wrong place at the wrong time. Gaspers being involved, you can see all the damage on the car. This is great news for Ray and Haycox. They have pulled a massive gap back to Naselli just from everybody having to dodge around that accident. And just as we saw Gaspers spinning around a second time, not sure if he got hit or what. I just looked over, and on my screen I suddenly see Gaspers turn the wrong way.
Just watching the replay of Gaspers at the moment, he takes a look up the inside of Donald Fitterer,
and it's Stefan involved again. We're going to watch from his perspective. Ryan, I know it's unintentional from them, but boy, they've been magnets.
Yeah, I was just about to say, these guys, Gaspers and Slacker, seem to be inseparable, and yeah, that was just unfortunate. David Gaspers having another incident, and I know we've seen David Gaspers come back and win races before after getting damaged and having issues, but I don't think today is going to be one of those days.
Lead, they're going to swap around. I'm not sure if this is really competition so much as they're working together. Ray takes it back over Haycox. Naselli behind them is about 2.5 seconds back. He's actually stringing along a number of people. Looks like Murakami, Juracek, and Orza in there. Oh, we're going to have another pass up at the front. Thought that maybe we see Haycox take a look, but they stay together. A little bit of a pass going on behind them as it looks like Murakami and Juracek going to go side by side. They got to be careful they don't lose touch with Maurizio. Great run off the corner, so into the heel of the boot. Juracek moves up to P4. We hop on board with Emil Orza at the back of this group. A little bit of action behind them as well. I see Antonio Reese getting overtaken by Jaron Haslam. So that's going to move Jaron up to 9th.
Yeah, and at the moment, I'm just looking in the Spec 2 class at the moment. I think that's still being led by, I believe it's still being led by Larry McLeod. So, yeah, McLeod just has to finish this race, I should say, and just if he finishes well, he should have the Spec 2 championship in the bag.
I think Haslam with a 5:15. I think he's our leader in the Spec 2 right now, sitting in 9th place. But McLeod's not too far back. He's in that same group, so he could get back up to the front of it. Well, just look at them scatter off of the 90, though, trying to find the best line. And it's all going to erupt down the backstretch yet again. Don't need to go to it, but Ian Haycox used the slipstream to go by Stevie Ray. It was definitely an easy pass working together.
Yep, then further back up at the front as well, Bob Kern is yeah, it looks like Adam Bradshaw is trying to give Antonio Rees a bit of a bump draft.
And Desai was also giving Kern a bump draft there. Oh, and there goes Antonio Rees off into the weeds. Did he get some help? Yes, he did. He definitely did. And that was Haslam, actually. Haslam just tipped the back of that 77. Sent him around. Doesn't hit anything, so he's still okay there. Just a report. Stefan Schlacher managed to get back out after taking his spare car. So did David Gaspers. They're way down the order, and they should need another stop, unfortunately. So two very fast drivers have got a long road to climb. Boy, you can see how many positions you can lose just with one incident. Rees is running in 27th right now and in the thick of a pack.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Antonio. He was having a good race as well, and this day, unfortunately, he got tagged into the long right-hander. But yeah, the battle for P7 is still going on at the moment with Bob Kern, Fred Desai, and also in the background we've got Adam Bradshaw and Tim Van Dormelen and several other cars.
Down the front stretch, Desai going to give him a little bit of a bump, that extra bit of speed. Probably not going to try a pass here into the 90, and indeed he brakes early. Lets Kern have the space he needs. Off the corner. Now they try and stretch away from Bradshaw. It's a gap of about 0.8 of a second, but let's see exactly how powerful this slipstream is.
Yeah, coming through the S's as well. If it looks like Desai's got the run on Kern. What way he's going to go? He's going to go to the left, I think. Actually, he's not going to move. He's going to give him a bit of a bump draft up this long straight. And maybe these guys are working together, but maybe not.
He did go to the left, and in front of them, it is getting pretty hairy as we are watching Murakami in there. That was Murakami managing to get ahead of Juracek, who's under attack from Naselli, and then Emil Orza involved. Oh, and Adam Bradshaw's had a wreck. Bradshaw with a little bit of contact from Larry McLeod. That's two Spec 2 drivers coming together. Oh my goodness, there's some incredible evasive action taken from Haslam here. Let's watch on board the 515. He sneaks through here miraculously.
Yeah, that was good avoidance from Haslam. He managed to avoid that perfectly and sneak through and gain a position.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks like...
Ooh. That was incredible. Just last-second maneuvers to try and pick his way by and didn't touch a thing, I don't think. That's actually going to give him a there, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm amazed that he managed to just sneak through there. That'll be one for the GSRC highlight reel, but
Meanwhile, Haycox has also gone by Stevie Ray another time, and they are starting to lose time. Chris Murakami has pulled them in. They're going to swap positions back there. That is the dark-colored car of Miroslav Juracek. You see to the inside. He goes by Murakami, leapfrogging him along the front stretch past the pits, down into the 90. It is 1.5 seconds. That's your gap after this first corner. Let's see what it is at the end of the backstretch. Climbing up through the S's. Another little back and forth between Ray and Haycox, trying to leapfrog one another. They do that successfully. They're doing a bit of the same as Murakami goes by Juracek. They're also pulling along Naselli and Orza. Orza actually getting a bump draft to Juracek just to speed him up that little bit more. And your gap is about 1.5, so weren't able to gain. They're both little groups here working well together.
Yeah, these guys, Ray and Haycox up at the front and this pack behind, they don't seem to be fighting each other too much. So I think they recognise that if they start scrapping amongst themselves, they'll allow Ray and Haycox to pull away and build up a bit of a gap. So
we got a big wreck happening with Ramon Regalado right now. And I saw this coming because he made an amazing save here. Unfortunately, it wound up being for naught. This all starts with him coming through the carousel with the number 89. He gets loose. Watch this. And this incredible drift keeps him out of the barriers, but he's so slow coming off the corner. Here comes Tom Gradwell and Antonio Reese. They go 3 wide as they're battling, and it just all of a sudden falls apart and all that.
Yeah, I think, I was watching that save by Ramon. That was definitely 10 out of 10 for style, but after that, it just unfortunately went wrong and he got caught up in an incident. But
Stevie Ray, the 2 leaders are into each other, and they're going to come back into the pack. They just managed to keep from getting run into, but the top 2 have handed away a handy gap. So Murakami is now your leader. Juracek's in second, Orza third, and Naselli in fourth. We'll come back to that replay after we see how this winds up at the end of the backstretch, but my goodness, that was almost silly. They could have had this thing wrapped up.
Yeah, it's just, Ray and Haycox, I'm not sure what they were doing. They were just, that was just silly, boys. Come on, you could have pulled away and built up a bit of a gap, but they've just threw that away and just threw it down in the trash, basically.
Juracek slipstreams by, but no repass from Murakami. Just a small bump draft. And then he pulls back to the racing line. So very calm. Let's go and look at that incident one more time. I thought maybe we'd have a 6-car pileup because they looked like they were heading back to the racing line there. Let's see what happened here. It looks like Haycox sends it in a little bit too deep, and that gets the back of Ray. Unless Ray was maybe trying to pit? Yeah, you know what? Ray usually tries to pit early. I bet you he was tucked down in a little slow. Oh, it bit him. His traditional strategy, unfortunately, unfolded poorly. Wow. So he is done with his pit stop, but he's way down the order now. He's in 35th position.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Stevie. He was having a good race as well, his best race of the season. And I think it was unfortunate, but the battle for P2 is still going on at the moment between boys like Murakami, Orza, and Naselli. So, and also in front of these guys is a new leader, Miroslav Juracek.
Miroslav has a gap. You can see there it's about 0.6 of a second, but this does not mean he's going to be able to run away. The question is, how much more are these drivers going to cooperate than what we saw before? So we come down to the 90. A little bit close back behind them. They could also try and run them down. They're not that far back. That is led by Tim Van Dormelen with Doherty, Desai, Haslam, and Fitter. Doherty started this thing in 28th, and he's up to P6 now. That's amazing. amazing. Whoa, just as we went off, Orza gave a bad bump to Murakami. They almost lost it. Everything stayed fine. We don't need a replay, but that was a scary moment there.
Yeah, absolutely. As it looks like Doherty might be getting a little bit of a bump from behind to get by, and yeah, certainly as they manage to get by. Yeah, my lifetime had just crashed there. Apologies though, but yeah, this battle at the moment is still going on, and it's fantastic racing to watch. And yeah, everyone seems to be kind of losing their mind at the moment.
Desai was the one giving him a shove. Still side by side back there. That's Haslam and Van Dormelen. Tim's got the inside, so Haslam lets him through, unless he gets a good exit off here. Fitterer follows them up the road. Great exit from Haslam indeed. He uses the slipstream, ducks to the inside. And finish the pass though as they get to the heel of the boot. They're not losing ground to those in front, even though they're doing a little bit of side-by-side racing. Switching around once again, Haslam now up into 7th.
I have to say, so far in this race, though, it's been like most sports, it's been full of shocks in the early stages of this race, and people up at the front that you normally wouldn't see, like Murakami and Orza and Desai, people like that. But at the moment, I'm quite glad in a way that we've got some new people at the front instead of the usual people.
Certainly is going to give a bit of a mixed-up finish, even if it doesn't change much of the championship order. Once again, Doherty and Desai seemingly working quite well together. And we got some pit stops, some early stoppers. Antonio Reese and Francesco Bernardo. Reese, I'm pretty certain, is probably getting a free repair. Hence why he is pitting early. Same thing with the driver that was in with him, Bernardo. Everything's calm up at the front while we watch this. Murakami lost a couple spots, but it's all looking relatively clean up at the front. Juracek still on the point. Looks like Naselli is going to be in 2nd, and Orza is in 3rd now. If you look behind them, they're not cooperating quite as well. Doherty is leading, but now he's got Haslam behind him, and he's side by side with Van Dormelen. Then you've got, whoa, going 3 wide and coming together. That is going to be Donald Fitterer. Oh, trying to get off of the racing line. Everybody sneaking through just barely. That was McLeod and Haycox. Poor Donald Fitterer. He just got sandwiched. And unfortunately, the smallest of tips with the side of Haslam sent him careening into the Armco.
Yeah, these guys seem to be forgetting that the leaders up at the front are getting away. So yeah, I'm not sure why they're scrapping amongst themselves. But unfortunately for Donald, just lost the rear end and into the wall he went. But luckily, everyone managed to get by him without any issues.
So as we come back to our leaders, now there are just 4 in this first group and 4 in the second group. Wonder if that'll make it a little easier for the second group to try to work together. As up front, they're a little poke out from Naselli, looking on Juracek, but not a serious one as he was a little far behind for that. Oh, and Haslam pits. That was our leader in the Spec 2. That's going to hand the lead over to Larry McLeod in that class. Oh, he missed his stall. Haslam, a little bit of a newcomer here, clearly fast, but has some teething problems. That's going to be costly. Naselli has since taken the lead. He leapfrogged over Juracek. Orza is in 3rd. Murakami dropping off of the back of them now, though.
Yeah, Chris Murakami's having a good race as well. He's just been keeping out of trouble, and he's up there in P4 at the moment, but he's a little bit further back.
Not sure what happened here with him. He might still be able to get a little bit of a slipstream. Look at them fan out, though. That's Orza behind Juracek and Naselli fighting side by side through the toe of the boot. This will definitely bring Murakami back in if they keep doing that. This is one of the best runs we've seen from Orza. He's a driver who started in 10th today. Juracek, by the way, started 20th, and yet he is up here fighting for the win. Highest driver to have pitted with an official stop is Haslam right now. He's in 22nd, and he's just a little bit ahead of Stevie Ray, who's the next one down to have completed a stop. Let's see if any of the leaders elect to come in. We're now past halfway in the race, and that's a big no from all three. Everybody staying out up at the top of the field right now. Nobody willing to risk it like we saw from Stevie Ray. There's our lead pitter on screen. Got about a second over Stevie Ray. Looks like one of our mid-packers has decided to stop. The number 86 of Dorelli. He's being joined now by William Ferry. Oh, wow, a number of people coming in at exactly halfway.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised that some of the people further back in the park are pitting kind of early, I guess. But if I was them, I would have tried to go as long as possible and try maybe get some track position. But I think that's what the people, some of the leaders up at the front are doing. They're going as long as possible, like they normally do, just trying to go as long as possible. And I think they're maybe going to try and pit round about the 10-minute remaining mark.
There is one of our former front runners, Nico Schuk, finishing his pit stop. Or no, actually starting his pit stop. He's down into his stall now. Well, the mighty have fallen, unfortunately. Back to the top. The three left in that top pack have firmly dropped Chris Murakami. It's 1.9 seconds. So the old peppermint car is not looking like he's in a good spot now. Is behind them, Ed Doherty had a spin. Ed Doherty gave up a number of spots, and it was his own doing. He spun himself out of the toe or the heel of the boot. So he comes back right in the thick of Stefani and LeVay fighting for 9th place. LeVay is in the black machine. The white and black car is Greg Stefani, and then the green and yellow, that is Ed Doherty behind them. Doherty's just going to elect to come in, yeah.
Yep, Doherty maybe elected to try and do an undercut in this pit stop by pitting before these guys, but it was unfortunate for Ed. He was having a good race as something's happened to McLeod, I think.
No, he's in the pit lane.
Oh, he's in the pit lane.
He does have some damage, though, and he's going to get that repaired. Takes his free repair. He does hand over the Spec 2 lead to Greg Stefani now in the number 750 car. That moves him up into 9th place, but he's yet to take a pit stop. Is McLeod going to come out first of the drivers who've pitted in Spec 2? I think so. Interesting. So I guess some predictive commentating earlier, Ryan. It looks like McLeod will be our leader potentially in that Spec 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like I mentioned before, McLeod just needs to finish this race ideally in the top 3. If he does that, he'll wrap the Spec 2 championship up, so he doesn't have to worry about Stefani at the moment. He just needs to focus on finishing this race as he's trying to. Yeah, he's under attack from who looks like Stevie.
Yep, Stevie gets that spot, and with him moving to 13th, everybody from 13th on down has pitted at least once. These are leaders who have yet to come in. What is going to be happening with them? Wow, Murakami has fallen like a rock now. It's 3 seconds back from Miroslav Juracek for him. Getting towards the end of the pit window now. With about 10 minutes to go, you should expect to see most drivers hit the end of it. And here we go. Naselli motions that he is going to pit in, and everybody else says now's good enough for me.
That's interesting. That I thought a couple of these guys, or one or two of these guys, would have tried to go maybe a couple of laps longer, but nope, everyone's diving in at the pits at the same time. So this will be interesting. This will be the battle of the pit stops.
Yeah, this might be just about the end of the pit window, so I called it a little bit early because even Stefani, LeVay are in, so is Mino. Jeff Cantor going to go around one more lap. Looks like he'll be the driver to be able to go the farthest on fuel, along with Kellen Rhodes. Naselli's back out, and Juracek is with him. They're actually just ahead of Jeff Cantor. So Cantor won't take the lead. Emil Orza with a horrible stop. What happened to Emil? He is way behind Juracek. Same thing with Murakami.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. My only thought could be maybe too much fuel, possibly, or a speeding penalty. But that was a very slow stop by Emil.
Certainly didn't seem to wind up well for either of them. As we watch down the backstretch, that's Larry McLeod leading Stevie Ray, Chris Murakami, Bob Kern, and Fred Desai. And McLeod didn't quite... Oh, wait. No, he did take the Spec 2 lead, which is still technically in the hands of Jeff Cantor and Kellen Rhodes, who have yet to pit, but they will definitely be overtaken by the time they get back out. Boy, a lot of chopping and diving here in this second pack that we've got. Pit stops are done, so they know that it's down to who finishes ahead, and it seems like everybody is eager to be at the point.
Yeah, it's this battle between McLeod and Stevie Ray and Chris Murakami, and also behind these guys as well is Bob Kern and Fred Desai, I should say. But Bob Kern's been having a good race at the moment. He's kept out of trouble, but in a battle with this pack.
We watch from Fred's perspective. I'm keeping an eye on our third place driver, Jeff Cantor, who actually is coming in now. So this is the last two. Cantor and Rhodes duck away out of everybody's way. That's going to free up Emil Orza, still in third, being chased by Ian Haycox in P4. McLeod moves himself up into fifth at this point. Up and through the S's. Number 96 trying to hold on to the podium, but not sure how much more Ian Haycox is going to be able to do here. Thankfully got his spare car. And look behind them. Oh my goodness. It is chaotic back there. That is McLeod being overtaken by Stevie Ray. Almost looking at 3 wide. Murakami in the mix. Bob Kern to his outside. Carries speed a little bit better than Chris into the carousel. But the battle's not over yet.
Yeah, these guys are... I thought these guys were trying to go 4 wide in the middle of the carousel, but luckily they managed to make it through. And Stevie Ray on a good recovery drive as well after his incident with Ian Haycox as well when he tried to pit. So good recovery from Steve up into P5, and still in a battle for, it looks like P6, P5, P6, P7, and P8 and P9.
Bob Kern going wide through the toe of the boot. Murakami sneaks through, and Fred Desai gets to his inside. Less than 10 minutes left. Oh, he gets into Murakami. They both managed to handle it fine. Oh, but not the car at the front. Is that Stevie Ray? And he's lost it. Ray into the barrier. Former leader in this race. Unfortunately down to 10th, and I'm pretty sure he's already taken his spare car. sure what happened there. It almost like he speared off. Maybe a little oversteer we're hearing. Yeah, oh yeah. Handful of oversteer. One time he caught it. Being in the grass does not provide the grip needed. And I can tell you back live that he is heading into the pits to get repairs. So a top 10, probably even a top 20 is outside the realm of possibility for Stevie Ray. Ian Haycox and Emil Orza. They've got 5.5 seconds to make up to Nicelli and Juracek in about 8 minutes. If I'm honest, Ryan, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I think the best that Emil can hope for is a final step on the podium in P3. But getting by Ian Haycox is no easy task, and at the moment it looks like Emil is not trying to get by as quickly as possible. He's maybe just trying to think of a game plan. Do I want to try and pass early, or do I want to sit behind for a couple of more laps and then try and make a move?
Yeah, I think both this pair and the lead pair are having that debate. Looks like Doherty is losing the debate with Antonio Reese, who moves up into 10th here in this little pack. That's Reese there in the gold machine, Doherty in the yellow and green. You've got LeVay back there in the black car, and Greg Stefani in there as well, sitting in 13th. Stefani second in the Spec 2 class. Larry McLeod a little ways up the road, not impossibly far away, but long enough that Larry's probably not feeling any sort of threat for this Spec 2 win. Watch from Fred Desai looking up at Bob Kern. 3-car pack here. So I have to ask then, Ryan, if you were in the case of Nicelli and Juracek, or like we've got with Haycox and Orza, which position do you want to be in crossing for the white flag? Do you want to be in front? Do you want to be behind?
Oh, that's a difficult question. If I was a strategical man, I would say I would want to be behind heading into the last lap, just because it's a risk going into the last lap in the lead. You're more under attack and more probably a big possibility of getting past in the last lap. But if you're in second, you've got more of a chance and more time to think of a plan. What do you want to do? Do you want to attack on the launch straight, or do you want to wait? But for me, I would prefer to be behind.
So Orza giving a bump draft. Oh, and what happened to Murakami here? How did he get at the side of the track? Oh, you know what? They tried to go 3 wide, and he got into Bob Kern. Bob Kern then really hit the side of, I think it's Larry McLeod. Ooh, hope that's not too much damage on McLeod, because he could now be run down by Greg Stefani if he's slow.
Yeah, I'm just watching the replay from above, and it looks like Murakami tried to squeeze through the middle, and it looks like Kern might have. I'm not sure. I'm not one for putting blame on anyone, but yeah, it was a bit of a lose, bit of a no-win situation.
And that was Fred Desai who came out the best of that group. He's now all on his lonesome, but in 5th place, and I don't think with as few laps as we have left that he is really under any sort of threat as long as he keeps it clean.
Yeah, Fred's been having a good race as well. He started in 13th, and he's slowly worked his way up into 5th at the moment, and having a great run in the top 5. And like you say, he just needs to focus on getting round and finishes in this race, and he's not really under pressure from anyone behind or in front.
Got a little bit of a fight between Adam Bradshaw and looky here, David Gaspers, still climbing his way forward. He's already taken his 2nd stop That's going to gift him 16th place. That's not bad considering how much of a disadvantage he had after just 2 laps in. Next on his list is going to be Chris Murakami, another one of the drivers that was up at the front that had some issues. I believe we're going to be 2 to go next time by. They've been swapping back and forth a bit and not on the straightaways here, Ryan. So they're trying to jockey into the position that they want, it seems.
Yeah, I'm just. It's like none of them they want to be in front. They kind of are letting each other by quite easy. I have to say they're not fighting each other. But if I was Miroslav, I would possibly just sit behind Maurizio and this plan a move on the final lap onto that long straight.
So who does what here coming down the front stretch? As well down the back stretch here, because we're starting the penultimate lap once they cross that line. Gap back to Haycox and Orza has stayed at about 5 seconds. So they've been working together, but it's not enough. Here we go. 2 laps to go, and they come down into the 90 with, side-by-side battling. Oh, and actually off track for Doherty. Can Doherty hold on to the car? He got squeezed off by Bob Kern, I think that was. He catches it, but loses a lot of spots in the process.
Yeah, that was very naughty from Bob Kern. He never left any room, but looking back at the replay to see what happened, and it looks like Bob might have just, like you said, Joey, Bob just squeezed over on Ed and left no room at all. So for me, the blame has to be on Bob.
Yeah, I think I have to agree on that one. Doherty wound up taking a pit stop, unfortunately. Looks like Bradshaw is in too. All right, so they've come to the end of the back stretch, and Juracek leads Naselli. This still has time to change around. For the drivers behind them, Ian Haycox leads Emil Orza. And they've got 5 seconds back to Fred Desai. How is our podium going to wind up? You really can't even tell at this point. All bets are off. Could be any order of this top 4. And then all 4 of them could wreck out the way we've seen things going. And we could wind up with none of them on the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all kicking off in the early stages of this race with the battle up at the front and also the battle for the final step on the podium. So yeah, I think it's good to be. I'm not sure who will win this race or finish on the podium, but I think it's all going to be decided on the last lap.
Back onto the main course, Miroslav Juracek with a gap of about 5/10 of a second here to Naselli. Is this where Maurizio wants to be? Is this where he was planning on being? Started from P5. Juracek started from 20th. White flag waves for our leaders as they come down into the 90. Naselli actually peeking off to the inside. Third place also taking the white flag, very close to one another. Orza trailing Haycox. And McLeod, with him being down on top speed, loses out to Van Dormelen. Stefani a little too far back probably to get that Spec 2 lead away. Let's go up to our leaders. This is what we want to see. Naselli has the run. Juracek going to be a bit of a sitting duck here. And he's going to easily get by to the inside. Does he have enough time to maybe grab a slipstream back and try to return the favor? No, they run to the end of the straightaway, so now he's going to have to do it the hard way. Behind them, Orza to the outside of Ian Haycox. And he still doesn't have this one done, though. Ian Haycox keeping a nose in. He's not chopped off at the apex. Coming out of the carousel. A little bit better momentum even than Emil Orza. Breaking down into the chute, who's going to be better? And it looks like the number 96 of Emil Orza takes third away. Meanwhile, side by side between Naselli and Juracek. Juracek had a failed attempt into the toe of the boot. Can he get a good enough run coming off of there and into the heel of the boot? Defensive move from Naselli, covering him all the way to the inside. Coming up to the heel, side by side. It's the latest of the late breakers, but a nose ahead for the inside car of Naselli is going to deny Juracek for now. The opportunities are running out. There's no real heavy braking corners from here to the end. It's going to take a wild dive or an incredible launch from Miroslav as he comes off the boot and back to the main circuit. Naselli has the advantage. They head through the penultimate turn. All he has to do is be smooth from here on out. But look at Juracek start to gain. He's getting some good exits. If he gets a monster run, it is possible out of here. He tries for it, but it's just not enough. And Naselli is going to take the win here at Watkins Glen. Oh, and something happened to Ian Haycox. We'll go back to the wreck with him. This means that Desai is going to get bumped up to fourth, with Orza taking third. Van Dormelen with a well-earned top five. Is Haycox out of fuel? He's slow on the front stretch, and Antonio re-sneaks it from him at the line. Larry McLeod slow. And the winner of the Spec 2 is going to be Greg Stefani. Unbelievable. All that happening right on the front stretch at the end. Drivers getting their fuel wrong. I'm seeing a few running slow to the line. You can see PJ Gowdy coming in now in the 777. Adam Bradshaw going to manage what looks like 20th. Oh, and is Gowdy out of fuel? Coast to the line, but not before he gets overtaken by Vandenberg and including Frank Redosti. Let's take a look at what happened to Ian Haycox, though. I completely miss this here, Ryan. Talk us through it.
Yeah, so it looks like Orza and the Haycox are battling away for the final step on the podium, and as they come up to the right-hander heading on hit.
Ian finished in 7th after everything as we're trying to pick him up. I think he went wide. There it is right there. Oh. Boy, he hit that barrier hard.
Yeah, so it looks like Haycox tries to try and make a move around the outside, but he just carries too much speed, possibly on the marbles as well, and lost grip and just lost the rear end. And unfortunately, he was a passenger into the wall, and that gave a chance for Orza to finish on the podium.
Great job by Emil. That's going to take us to break, though, here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around, because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. welcome back to Watkins Glen. The finale was everything we expected out of this track, and it was Maurizio Naselli who won from 5th on the grid. But you got to give a pat on the back to Miroslav Juracek. He started in 20th, didn't get the qualifying he wanted, and wound up in 2nd. Emil Orza finished in 3rd to round out the podium, with Fred Desai taking home 4th. Tim Van Dormelen, another one that came forward from 21st to 5th for him, with Antonio Reese finishing P6 today. Ian Haycox gave it a go with that podium, but he wound up in 7th in the end, with Zach LeVay finishing in 8th. And Greg Stefani, who would have expected him to win the Spec 2 race, because he started 27th, finished 9th overall, top Spec 2 driver today. Bob Kern rounds out your top 10.
Finishing in 11th place, and finishing in on the podium in the Spec 2 class, and without the Spec 2 championship is Larry McLeod in 11th. 12th is Sergio Dorelli. 13th is Kenneth Batley. David Gasper's recovering after his early issues to finish in 14th. 15th was Chris Maricami. 16th was Francesco Bernardo. 17th was Jonathan Gaston Mino. 18th was Kellen Rhodes. 19th was Nick Carty, and rounding out the 20 was Brian D. Short.
A lot of stuff in the mid-pack we didn't get to cover because there was plenty of battling. 21st for Tom Gradwell and Adam Bradshaw in 22nd. Then you got Paul Jackson in P23. Nico Schuch wrecked early, wound up 24th. Julio Fercolin, 25th today, with Martin Vandenberg in at 26th and Frank Radosti in at 27th. PJ Gowdy running out of fuel. He was fighting for that Spec 2 championship. He was 2nd in the points coming into it. Not sure how he's going to wind up with him finishing all the way down in 28th. William Ferry was 29th, and Donald Fitterer was 30th.
Finishing in 31st was Gary Walbot. 32nd was Samuel Dick. 33rd was Dan Bibick. And finishing in 34th was Dominic Bureau.
From there on down, you had drivers who were either DNF'd or unfortunately took a spare car and had to limp it home, as many were multiple laps down. Let's talk to our Spec 2 winner, Greg Stefani. Greg, you were 27th on the grid. How in the world did you get up to 9th?
Well, my pace in practice was pretty solid, but I just couldn't catch a break in qualifying, and it was a rough 20 minutes. So yeah, I wasn't feeling too confident about it at the end of qualifying, but managed to stay alive and keep pushing forward.
Now, how aware were you of your positioning in that Spec 2 class? Because, I mean, that pass for the lead came literally down to the line when Larry was running out of fuel. So at what point did you realize you had won that class?
I think it was about the time I parked it at the outside of T1. I did not realize before that I had passed.
Oh, my goodness. So that had to have been a pleasant shock. So knowing that, obviously this is going to give you a little bump, though I don't think you were close enough to catch Larry McLeod in the points to take the Spec 2 championship. Does this encourage you for next season that maybe you could get in the hunt for that?
Well, we'll see how the points work out. I know that I was, I think, 44 behind Dom, and he had a pretty lousy race today. I saw him off early. And I'm not sure if I made up enough points today to catch him. So we'll see how it works out. Maybe I managed to nip 3rd from him, but yeah, in any case, I'm really enjoying the Spec Ford right now. So looking forward to more racing.
We're enjoying you racing in it as well. Anybody you'd like to thank before we let you go?
As always, thanks to Stevie. It's a great league, and thanks to all of the community that just makes the Spec Ford a fun car to drive every single week.
All right, that was Greg Stefani, our winner in the Spec 2 class, the driver who was leading briefly. We got Antonio Reese with us. Ryan has caught up with him, who finished in 6th place.
Yeah, Antonio, that seemed to be a bit of a crazy race for you, but yeah, you managed to recover and finish in sixth position. How was that race for you?
Hello, good night, everyone. I was very challenging race, and was kind of very many accidents, and well, I was looking for points because I'm very close with Jerry McAreevy on the points on the third place of the championship. So I was trying to get as much as I could. I don't know. Yeah, about Orza also is there for the points. We will see.
Yeah, looking throughout the field as well, the racing seemed to be really close and a bit crazy at times, but overall it seemed to be there was loads of good battles going on. And how did you feel your season has went on in the Weekend Warriors? Do you think it was good, or do you think there was any improvements that you could have done?
Yeah, improvements is always something we can do, and yeah, but this is my best Weekend Warriors season overall.
Good stuff. It's been great seeing you up at the front towards the end of the season, Antonio. And lastly, before we let you go, are you planning to race the Weekend Warriors next season? And if you are, what's the aim to try and take the championship, or just see how the season goes?
Yeah, I will be there, that's for sure, and I will try to win. Well, that's my joke, but anyway, I will be there. Yeah.
Well, Antonio, thanks for joining us, and Thank, thanks for racing in the Weekend Warriors this season, and we look forward to seeing you on track in the new season.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much for your covering and for everyone who participate, and hopes to see everyone next season. Okay.
That was Antonio Reese, sixth place. Next up, we've got Stevie Ray ready to talk to us. This is the one I was saying who at one point was leading this race. But Stevie, it seemed like after you got a good qualifying, a little bit of a lucky break at the start, you and Ian were working really well together. If it hadn't have been for your incident, do you think you two could have scampered away and fought for the win?
Hi, Joe. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for us to kind of work together, and we had a little gap there, and then I blew it and didn't kind of warn him I was going to make a pit stop. I probably should have, looking back, but I was trying to set him up and hang him out a little bit, to be honest, and obviously that didn't work. So
yeah, and we figured that's what happened, is that you were just taking your traditional early stop. Does that make you second guess that, what's become sort of your signature now, or are you still going to continue on making that, being the first in, essentially, usually?
no, that's the only way I know how to do it. I don't. The other guys have got where they can shut off the fuel, and I haven't figured that out yet. I just figure out how much I need and how many laps, and go in there and let it fill itself up and go, so I don't have to worry about it too much. So that makes it easy on me.
Well, this closes out another season. Obviously, a lot of the drivers sound very thankful of all you do behind the scenes to get this going. Anything you're looking forward to in particular for next season, for 2020 season 2?
No, I think it's pretty successful. We've had some record sized grids, and the Warriors are really healthy. I wanted to stop in and say thank you to each and every one of them. The guys hear me every season saying it, and they get tired of it, I guess, but I'm still going to say it. It's those guys that make this league what it is. I get the honor of setting it up, but it's each and every one of the Warriors that make this such a great league, and I appreciate them. So hopefully next season will be just as good, if not better. Unfortunately, with my work going on, I don't know that I'll be running next season, but I'll be setting it up and maybe have somebody else to help me do the weekly chores, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, we'll be sad to not see you around, but still, commiserations on the finish, and thank you for all your hard work as well, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. You and your team do a great broadcast job. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for the kind words. That was Stevie Ray, league organizer and almost winner today. Just unfortunately, it slipped through his fingers. We're going to thank a few people with a big one going to the sponsor once again this season, SimStickers. If you can, give them a look. They are at simstickers.co.uk. They've been on for multiple seasons here, and really it's fantastic to have them supporting the Weekend Warriors the way they are. Thanks to iRacing for putting us on IESN. Subscribing to the channel is very easy. Just scroll below the video here and you can see a big red button that says subscribe. Click it. You won't miss a moment here on IESN. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts. They're listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Ryan, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media, with our Twitter being @GSR Channel, Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Gram. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen. Make sure and check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.